Hey guys, I just want to, I'm just continuing to document what's going on within the city of Chula Vista, and I'm documenting the locking out and the violations of the municipal codes. And this is funny, this is an ironic picture. When we went to City Hall, here's some of the police that visited us on July 2nd and the 4th. Here's the harassment we get from people who lock us out, and continued lockout if we're lucky to access the arena. They even sit there and stand guard over their gates. It's really funny. And you got the intimidation of the tractors. And they go and check their fences if their videos show that we're around that area. They'll come and check. It's really funny. But this is one of the sponsors of Sunnyside Saddle Club. She's not really dressed for park stuff, but she's going to go. And she's a sponsor. This Terry Dillon is a sponsor for Sunnyside Saddle Club, which I find interesting. So they kind of work together. Here is the Richelle Farley. She is the president, and she walks up and harasses you with her camera. So I think it's very interesting. This is May 13th, and this is part of the park, Roar Park. And it's Richelle Farley, the president of Sunnyside Saddle Club, who filed a temporary restraining order on July 15th. It's funny, it's for workplace violence, and she's using the Roar Park address for the restraining order. So they're trying whatever they can do. They're trying so hard to keep us out of the park. So she's going to use this, even though, you know, restraining orders, you cannot restrain or file for a restraining order when someone was just exercising their constitutional rights. So being at the park, that you're allowed to be at the park and there's no violence or anything. We were there peacefully, and today I'm going to be at court looking at this. Now, she just only served my husband. That's the only, they didn't give me a restraining order. They're looking for me, but I happened not to be there at the time. So all was denied, but we're still having to go into court to talk to the Judge Rebecca Zip regarding a workplace violence restraining order that was denied so far. So we'll see what happens. And this is the only context that we've ever seen her in person on May 13th. When she was at the park there, she came up, and here's how the conversation goes. Ms. Farley, it's, hey, thanks for videotaping me. And we both said, you're welcome. And she goes, and when you guys show it, and I said, we're in public. She goes, it sounds like you're harassing me with your video. And I asked, are those your cameras over there videotaping everyone? She goes, I'm sorry. She didn't hear me. And I said, are those your cameras over there videotaping everyone? She goes, no, they're not mine. They belong to the club. I said, really? And she goes, yeah. And I said, that's nice. I said, okay, bye. And Miss Farley goes, okay, bye. Enjoy your horses. Look beautiful, and they look happy, and I'm so glad they have a place to turn out, a public arena for ya. There's plenty of space there. It's so wonderful to see. You're welcome. And she goes, nice to meet you guys finally. So that does show that that's the first time we've ever met, and that was the only conversation we've ever had. And the president of Sunnyside Saddle Club has now put in a restraining order notice that we are dealing with today. And regarding the facility's license to use the arena, nowhere in this contract does it state that they have the right, the Sunnyside Saddle Club has a right to lock the facility, which they're doing. But yet the biggest problem I have, besides them locking the arena, is that in a few places here it says that they need to comply with all laws. Here's another one. The laws of the state of California shall govern and control the terms with this agreement. And even though I've let every city official know who's dealt with this or who has any kind of responsibility with this or involvement in this, like from the city council people to everyone who signed it or agreed to it, they've all shown deliberate indifference, and that has allowed these people to think that they can lock the facility, which blocks me from a constitutional right, and that's to use public lands. It's Title 42, and it's under the Civil Rights subchapter Section 1983, Civil Action for Deprivation of Rights, and that's when they have a deliberate indifference and they don't act and fix this when they see that these people have been locking the arena when they don't have the right to. And there's a big problem there. There's the arena. This is overhead view. Primary facility is the one that we're kind of talking about. And the other arenas, there's a warm-up arena and the round pen arena. I'm there all the time now because I can't get to the main arena. Anyhow, that's where this is all taking place in Roar Park in Chula Vista. And this is part of the park, Roar Park. Baby! That Chula Vista is running, and it just shows how, you know, they're allowing and ignoring of the codes, or ignoring of following the codes, just sort of escalates a situational problem in the community, and it just shows how wrong that is. And this is probably why there are rules or laws for them to follow, for the government to follow, and when they don't follow them, this is the kind of escalation that you get in the community. Look at this. As they've got their cameras over at the club, just, it's so weird. She came driving by videotaping. Look at her. What a weirdo. So you can't use the park. So you can't use the park without being harassed. You're such a creep. So weird. It's so weird how freaky she is. That's harassment, and they try to get us for harassing them. Isn't that crazy? What a weirdo. Just harassment. What a weirdo. Okay, and then we've got this woman over here. We've been using the facility just because we want to use the facility. Okay, so I've been working in the round pen. We were walking along, which he just hates this round pen kind of for some reason because he wants to go in this arena. And we've got, and I was working him over here. And then we've got people who have to like check the locks because, you know, they're after you because you're using the public park. So they are like literally pissing on their property. Look at them. So you can't even come here and just use the facility without being harassed. Look at that. Just sitting there protecting her territory. Little bitch zip ties. This is so funny. Look at her. So anyhow, so she's got a call because you're using, so people cannot use the public facilities without the Sunnyside Saddle Club personnel, officials, whatever, having to come piss on their territory. This is crazy. Isn't that crazy? So after she pulled over to their little shed thing and peed on her territory and protected their zip-tied gates, then she pulls out, after she steers her cars and close to us and has to document us, in her car with her camera. Like, that's really a normal thing to do to people who are just using the park, right? So after she drives away, she still does a U-turn, turns back, and she actually ends up coming back into the park and literally sits there and waits for another 45 minutes. Is still sitting here waiting. Now, we just had a group of people who just left. They're over there walking their dogs, but they're visiting the horse and watching him run around. And I know it's dark here, but she's videotaping us, and she's really creepy. Anyhow, I just wanted to document it. So, oh, there, look at, she driving away? Hey, baby. She even called for backup, but her backup didn't show up for some reason. Look at that. It's really funny. That's a little close, Dragon. Look at which way she's gonna go. So this woman sat there for 45 minutes while I was talking to a group of people who were looking at my horse, and they even asked, what is that woman doing? Because she was in the park and then she came back out and just sat there. Now here's another person that comes out. Okay, now here we are. We got people just sitting there with their brights on us, shining their lights. Look at that. You can't even just be here in the round pen in a public park, still not closed, the park is still open, and they're sitting there with their brights on us. Isn't that great? Quit, baby. What a creep. So the Bain Act is California Civil Code sections 52.1 and 52.3 is a California law designed to protect individuals from threats, intimidation, and violence against their exercise of constitutional rights or statutory rights under California law. And some key points to it, and I'm reading this, is the purpose of the Bain Act aims to safeguard individuals from threats, intimidation, or coercion that interferes with their rights under state or federal law, including rights protected by Constitution of the United States. Violations. The Bain Act can be violated by anyone who interferes, threatens, or uses violence or intimidation against another person's exercise or enjoyment of their constitutional or statutory rights. This includes actions such as threats.
And basically involving, you got some people coming out here, they're not part of the membership or they don't have the authorization to use this. So
This is a public park though, right?
well, it is.
Yeah.
But because this area is typically leased out, right, there's some gray area there. Okay.
A lot of gray area.
Just for
now, it's not open to you.
Since you guys are technically breaking the law, this is a detainment. You guys are legally.
Am I in the arena?
Sir, because you are here with them and you are you are associated with the vehicle.
So this part is leased by them
Sir?
as well?
This isn't leased by them.
Okay.
You guys are just being, it's really strange that you're willing to uphold someone to monopolize a public park facility.
Yeah, it's your horse. So we can't allow that to happen. So we'll allow animal control to come out and take the horse if you don't want to cooperate with us.
But you cannot, so you're saying in the public park, with this public park facility, you're not letting a member of the public use the park when it's not even in use, no one else is using it, and it's to sit here idle for 365 days to the public. You're saying that's okay.
You need to become part.
But that's not your
I'm going
municipal
off of the facts
code.
given to me. Okay.
What are your facts? What are
My
your
facts is that someone leases this area.
Okay.
There is a club. There is a
Okay.
president of that club that they have called on multiple occasions now of people coming into their arena that are not part of the
I
club.
understand. Okay, so I'm just going to interrupt all these little police snippets that I'm sharing that are all out of order and stuff. But for the most part, I'm just trying to show the gist of the conversation. So the Sunnyside Saddle Club's little notice, basically by them saying that required membership is needed, required membership is required to access the arena. See right there? And again, not for general public use, but yet here's their codes in the white, and it states, this is their municipal code, community in particular and equal rights to the use and enjoyment of said public facilities without regard to the status or condition of the user. So when they say in the municipal codes that you can use the facility, that doesn't matter what your status is, the rules right here for Sunnyside Saddle Club violate the codes right here. So I don't get what these cops, what they can't put together, because they keep telling me I have to become a member to the club. It's like George Carlin. What's his name? George Carlin. They're in a club and you're not in it. Why, if you already have laws and codes in order, in place, why don't you guys follow them? Why aren't you following the law and the code then? Why do I have to go push to another level for people to follow the law?
Civil law, you know, police officers don't deal with civil law.
Well, then why are you
enforce
here?
We can, because the 602 is a penal code violation, which is a crime, not a civil.
And so is 3495, where you have the law, you have the right to abate a public nuisance, and this is a public nuisance. They're blocking access to a public facility. That is a public nuisance.
So, you have not made this the easiest encounter.
I know, I'm
here,
sorry, but
okay?
it's very intrusive that you guys are doing this.
We're not being intrusive.
Yes, you are, but to me you are.
Look.
It's very stressful. You guys, you know, you should make them, you should have them put up some, you should have them put up signs then that are very clear that people are not allowed to use this facility.
And I will pass that. I will pass that to the lease
Well, that's
officer.
actually a law that they
Okay.
need to do that.
Well,
The contract and 9.13 states they must follow the law. They must, and then after that, please look at your municipal codes at 2.66.010.
I'm
please.
here to. Okay.
You're not here to follow the laws,
Yes,
though.
absolutely.
You're
I am,
not,
ma'am.
though, because otherwise you won't be
Okay, ma'am.
trespassing me from a public
For right now,
park.
I would like you to just load your horse
Okay,
up and leave the
good.
area. Just
Okay,
for
but
notice,
but you don't have right to trespass me from the park.
I'm not trespassing you from the
But
park.
you just told me to leave the area.
You need to.
This seriously is the only thing they have the lease on, supposed
Okay.
lease on.
Okay.
So I am, all lawfulness, I'm allowed to be here in the park.
This
but
not making
you-
this personal at all.
Well, it feels
you gotta
personal.
and I'm sorry for that.
But do you know
okay?
what? Do you know what public means? Are you aware of what public
Ma'am,
means?
I'm very well aware.
Then
of
why
the
are you
public.
violating?
I'm not violating
Yes, you
anything,
are.
ma'am. You were in a technically a leased area, enclosed area that is usually locked and out of reach of the public.
No, it's not. I
Okay,
have
but
used
we have
this
had
facility
multiple
for
reports.
24
I've been here
years.
multiple times with your vehicle as a described vehicle that has left the
right,
area.
because I have used this facility for 24 years.
Ma'am.
They have never had exclusive use of exclusive rights to it.
They have said something now. Okay?
They've lied.
So you need to go and get that handled.
I will,
okay?
but they are lying to you,
Okay.
and you are making yourself vulnerable to a lawsuit. Yes, you are.
Okay, that is your prerogative.
You guys are, it's so sad how you guys are part of their demonic bullshit. 4th of July, and this is who you're harassing?
Ma'am.
Who is the injured party here? Who is
Yep, no
being
one
hurt?
ever said there was an injured party.
So why are you
An injured
here?
would mean that someone has
Been
sustained a
violated.
physical injury.
No, just
That's
a
what you said,
violation.
injured
right,
party.
an injured, but injury can happen in other ways.
Yeah,
No,
we
but-
understand, but Miss Farley
Yes.
is the head of the equestrian
That's
club,
right. Can
and
you
she says that you're
please-
not a member, you're not allowed to use the
Could
facility.
you guys, okay, and then the municipal codes also state that it does, that no status.
Okay.
No status.
And
We're
that
going
is
in
the civil
circles
matter.
again.
That is a civil matter.
Right,
So
so-
here's my name and my
okay,
badge
thanks.
number. Just for record.
Can you write down incident number then?
I can get the incident number.
Yeah, thanks. You guys, it's just so sad because this is the
It's
third
not our
time.
choice, man.
It
It's
is
not
your
our
choice because this is a harassment.
If I tell my supervisor, hey, I'm not gonna go to that call,
should.
guess what he's gonna say? Well, you know what? Go back to the station. You're being suspended.
You should do your job.
I have-
You should pay attention to the municipal codes.
Encourage you to take this up to City Hall, and I would like to. I would like to see you clear this issue up between
Right,
you
so
and
would
the
I.
lease
And do
holder.
you know how many letters I have written them since last April? I've been writing them, and they've yet to
But I just
respond with
inform
any
you,
information.
there's a meeting at 6 p.m. on
Yeah, but I'm
July
not.
the
You know
9th.
what? I'm not at liberty to get up and go to meetings all the time,
open
and
to the
especially
public.
when they counsel them all the
And
time.
he can go to, on your behalf as well.
You guys, it's just sad. So it's interesting that this police officer was saying go to the July 9th meeting, and the meeting was canceled. So they did cancel the meeting July 9th, which they have many times. They're on Tuesdays, so the 9th was canceled. And it's interesting because he just said it's open to the public. Well, guess what? So are public parks, and I'm not able to use those either. And why should people always have to go to these stupid meetings if you've got laws and codes in place that people wouldn't have to gather and straighten your asses out? And they're still never undetained me. It's the second time I'm still detained. And here's a Union Tribune article, is May 25th, and it reads, "Who owns Roar Park's horse arena? Equestrians speak up in defense of preserving a public amenity." So the private club claimed ownership, which is impossible if you have it affixed into the ground. I showed you that earlier, the 660. And here it says, the city said it belongs to the public, but they're sure not treating the public like it does, are they? And then just reading this one little area here, it says city officials acknowledge arena had been wrongly locked for a week in May, but it actually was locked since April 17th, because that's when my calls started that I have documented. So Sunnyside won't respond. And also Eric Crockett, who is now fired, he was the one that basically said that this is for the public. The arena and the public facilities are for the public, is what he said. But then he was fired just a few months later. So that's interesting, by Maria Kachadorian. All right. So this was March 2015. And I just want to ask, if you look at this, does it look like this is just some kid in the park and the horses are getting excited? So 2015, do you think the footing looks any different, any better? We could stop it for a second, because their whole thing is that the horses are ruining the footing, and yet a city's responsibility is to take care of just and manage normal wear and tear. And so the fact that they don't want to take care of the arena because the horses destroy the footing is what their argument is, and that's why they gave it to the Sunnyside Saddle Club. Why are they then being so discriminatory against the horse owners versus everyone else who uses public park facilities, who enjoy them and who enjoy the maintenance and stuff like that? So it just seems a little unfair that the rest of the public gets maintained facilities and the horse people, they get locked out of their facilities. Just doesn't seem right to me. They said they got new railings. They did not get new railings. These are the same railings that are still there today. The footing is no better or worse than it was back in 2015. There's no locks on these doors. That's an old shed that was actually dedicated by San Diego County. They're giving the Sunnyside Saddle Club sheds that are fixed or just part of the property. But anyhow, the footing's no different. They have not had exclusive use as they try to claim. They're lying. These people they're lying in their contract to justify just handing over public property to private entities. They did it in Lakeside. They're doing it all over the place. They're closing down horse amenities. So anyhow, I'm just saying the footing's not there. The cops believe that they've had ownership. Even some of the people in Bonita have been hexed by these guys, believing that this arena is Sunnyside Saddle Club's. It's not, in fact. So the California Code 660 defines what is considered a fixture, and basically anything that is attached to the land itself is attached to the land by roots, embedded in the land, whatever, permanently resting on the land. That means it is part of the permanent fixture of the land. So these arena railings are affixed to the land, so they are part of the land. So they belong to the park, which belongs to the people. That does not belong to Sunnyside Saddle Club. Sorry, it doesn't. You cannot have 365 day a year, 24/7 ownership of something that the people pay for. according to municipal codes. If you read that, remember 2.66010,
Yeah, we read one already.
right? So it says public park facilities and public parks are supposed to be open for use, full use to the public.
The club, and if you're not a member of that and you don't have their permission, you don't get to use it.
So it says the scope of the Bain Act applies broadly to protect against a wide range of conduct that interferes with constitutional or statutory rights, including actions by private individuals, organizations, or even government officials or entities. So legal remedies, violations of the Bain Act can result in civil liability where individuals who are victims of such conduct can sue for damages, injunctive relief. That's to stop conduct. And in cases involving threats or violence, criminal charges can be pursued by law enforcement if law enforcement isn't one of them doing it too. So the history of the Bain Act was after Tom Bain, a California state assemblyman who advocated for civil rights protections. It was enacted to strengthen protections against civil rights violations and to provide individuals with legal recourse against such violations. So in essence, the Bain Act serves as a powerful tool to combat intimidation, threats, and violence intended to suppress or interfere with individuals exercising their fundamental rights under law. And this says, it underscores California's commitment to protecting civil liberties and ensuring that all individuals can freely exercise their rights without fear of reprisal or unlawful interference. So I wonder if this note here stating that this is a private equine facility when we're actually in a public park and surveillance cameras are in use, is that a form of intimidation? I don't know, but and then you also have to have they have an exclusive contract for, and you have to have a membership. Membership is required with Sunnyside Saddle Club to use that arena, and they say no turnout, so that's a restrictive use also. So I want to show you one reason why this is sort of important. So I have chickens outside, but so here's the city of Chula Vista. This is one of their municipal codes, and I'm going to read this. So this is, it's 2.66010, and this says, and I'm going to just read it. It states, it is the purpose of the City Council in establishing rules and regulations governing the use of park and recreational areas in the city to ensure the public in general and the inhabitants of this community in particular full and equal rights to the use and enjoyment of said public facilities without regard to the status.
And if you're not a member of that and you don't have their permission, you don't get to use it.
Of people coming into their arena that are not part of the club.
Okay, except that they're regarding status, their rules are membership is required. So that's with regard to status, because now you have to be a member. So without regard to the status or condition of the users of the facilities, it is recognized that society generally and inhabitants of any community have a right to have publicly owned premises maintained in a sanitary and orderly condition, although in the contract that Chula Vista signed, they admit that they've never ever taken care of or maintained this facility. Further, the City Council recognizes the rights of individuals to speak, write, and freely disseminate their views and to make full use of public facilities so long as said rights are exercised in the manner which is not inconsistent with the rights of others and violative of said rights. So this states, the city, in the interest of protecting the enjoyment and safety of the public in the use of the facilities to further this purpose and intent, the Director of Recreation and the use of, Director of Recreation and Public Works and the City Council are authorized to both promulgate reasonable rules. That's reasonable. Locking out a public facility for 5 years is not reasonable, keeping the community out. A public
Right now, I would like you to just load your horse up and leave the area. Just
okay,
for
but
notice,
but you don't have right to trespass me from the park.
I'm not trespassing you from the
But
park.
you just told me to leave the area.
You need.
Okay, hey guys, it's the 18th, Thursday the 18th of July. I'm sitting here with Dragon. We're having coffee and hay together. He loves coffee. So anyhow, I've just been kind of like, dealing with he's dealing with flies. I might have to put a face mask on him. But look, he's eating out of his little hay net. I'm dealing with that public access to the arena that the city has felt like it's okay to hand off, that's right, private or public lands to a private club, and you have to pay a fee. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now, is dealing with that, and I'm starting to send demand letters out. And these people are so arrogant. They have no they don't care if they're violating their own laws or rules or anything. I'm going to put a mask on him. Hang on, you guys. I don't like the flies being on his face. Just a second. And just to let you all know, he can see through this mask. See, he's able to see through it. So it's not like I'm blinding him, just to let you know. So I'm going to go put it on his face. Okay. So he's got his mask on. He's throwing hay in my coffee, which is no big deal because I probably shouldn't be drinking it anyhow. So the the arena, the public arena that the community has used for decades has been locked. I think most of you may know this if you follow me. And this is a violation of the municipal codes, which basically state that public park facilities are supposed to be open and available in full use to the community. But what's funny is we had a couple people go and talk to the city council the other day, and after my husband brought up some information and just basically shared with everyone what the story was, the city manager, as he was leaving, sorry, I got a helicopter overhead, let me wait. So the city manager, during this city council meeting, in a public comment afterwards, lets everyone know that the membership is available. And so she basically puts a plug in for Sunnyside Saddle Club, but she doesn't tell the whole story. She doesn't tell how there is restricted use, and they still haven't figured out how you're going to get in the arena. So imagine if you wanted to take your dog to a park, the dog park, and some kennel took it over, and you had to sit there and wait at the gates to be let in. That would be sort of weird. Or if you wanted to go play basketball or anything, that you'd have to wait for a private individual to come let you in. So that's kind of strange. So anyhow, that's what I'm dealing with right now. Look at that dragon, get in there. To me, it's really important for these public park facilities to remain open, and I know it might seem like a little deal with what's going on now, but to me it's part of the kind of egregious behavior that these city council people and these upper management people think that they are above the law. Look at these flies. I don't know really how this plays, but the Constitution, that's the First Amendment, you guys have seen me quite a bit videotape my horses running in the arena and stuff, because I like to document their progress and their growth and their movement and stuff like that. Well, you can't really do that if you don't have an arena to let them run. Like a dragon. Get those flies off you. That's another thing I'm considering. It's a blocking of First Amendment, and harassed on the ground. And don't be Stockholmed, because I find a lot of people who think it's okay to be charged another fee to access something that goes strictly to a private club is allowed to just take the fee. They're handing public lands to private individuals, and they get to keep all the profits. I just feel that's very, very strange, and I don't think that's right. He's taking a break. He wants some water. That's right, baby. There's a woman, her name is Judy Tieber, Tieber, and she is the president of the Sweetwater Valley Civic Center here in Bonita. She, on October 17th, put in this total support for this exclusive use contract with Sunnyside Saddle Club. And, you know, her duty as a civic center person is to make sure that the community, the public facilities are open to the public. She did the exact opposite of that. So she's in the little hot water with me as well. And what's interesting is that she also happens to be the owner of Mount Miguel Stables, which is the stable that houses Sunnyside Saddle Club's members. I think almost all of them, if I'm not mistaken. There might be some that aren't. So I find that an interesting little conflict as well, as she owns the stable that Sunnyside Saddle Club, the club that was given exclusive use, and she's there supporting their exclusive use, but yet she is also the president of the Sweetwater Valley Civic Association, which just flies in the face of you know, public access. So that's a real huge conflict. And what's funny is on Facebook, social media, even though I didn't even post on their page, they blocked me. They blocked me from accessing their social media page, which I find also a little interesting. Do you find that interesting, Dragon? You do? Okay. Anyhow, so just wanted to add that as well. A bunch of creeps running these countries and cities. We got to not allow this. At least keep them in check. And this is the thing, is I have many horses. They all need to get out. They all need to move. I would have to ride everyone every day, or at least group them up like this. And it's not safe, especially if you don't have an arena to warm them up and get their little silly willies out and let them expend some energy. So they're trying to make people in Bonita unsafe. And that's not what their duty is. They're supposed to have public parks open, so shame on all of them. Okay, so here's one more little tidbit update as of yesterday. I think that's the 24th, because today's the 25th. Some man came knocking at my door, and he's like, oh, they're not loose. He handed this to my husband, and it is from Richelle Farley. It's a temporary restraining order, or notice of a court hearing. So they were, I guess she tried to file this on the 15th, or she'd filed this July 15th. It was the 24th when this was delivered to my husband by this man. He said he was also looking for me. I wasn't around. And my husband told him to get off the property. But he did take this. He didn't sign anything. But so Richelle Farley has got a temporary restraining order. And there's some court hearing date on July 30th. But looking down below, apparently, because she doesn't have any evidence or anything, because I think the only thing my husband's ever said to her, and it's documented, is he said, "You're welcome," to her. And I think I've shared that video. I'll leave the link in my description if you want. But temporary restraining orders, and it says all denied until the court hearing. So you still have to go to a court hearing, even though the judicial official, whatever, didn't find it enough evidence, but it's denied. So temporary restraining orders, all denied until the court hearing. And I'll show you the next page. It says, this is page 2, says the reasons for temporary restraining orders is requested. And it's she's petitioning for workplace violence restraining order. And so she's using the Roar Park as her address, 4548. That's the Roar Park address. Sunnyside Saddle Club says that that's the address they use, even though they're always at Mount Miguel, because they don't have stables or anything. They only show up 6 times a year, but yet they can still use the Chula Vista's Roar Park address, the one that they're blocking access to the public from. There's the Sunnyside Saddle Club's phone number. All is denied. I'll go back to page 2. So workplace workplace violence restraining order. So the facts as stated in Form V or WV 100 do not sufficiently show reasonable proof that the employee, that's Richelle, has suffered unlawful violence or a credible threat of violence by the respondent, that would be my husband, and that great or irreparable harm to the employee would result in a temporary restraining order. They didn't grant her because there's no information at all. So date 7/15. So for some reason it took them 9 days to get this to us. And Rebecca Zip is the judicial officer, which is interesting because I found some things about Newsom and her. So the strange thing is there's absolutely no information to show that Richelle Farley has experienced workplace violence at the park. You know, you're in the park, so that's a place where people have a constitutional right to be. So she even checks, for some reason, Central Division, and it had to get changed down to South County because all this is going on in South County. And again, I don't understand if there's really no evidence or information showing that there's any workplace violence or any reason to have a temporary restrainer. Why would this judge still sign the paper? So then they also include this workplace violence respondent packet, even though, whoops, sorry, hang on. So why would that judge sign that, even though there wasn't any information or evidence, but yet they still give and send a workplace violence respondent packet to the person that's being served, and they have to read this even though there wasn't any evidence saying that there was any workplace violence, because the thing is it's up to them to prove it. And one more thing, what this does is it takes away your firearm. So Richelle Farley, by filing this false complaint, because she's also filed and made false reports that I was cutting the locks of the arena, which I've never done, she's trying to now also violate a person's Second Amendment rights by her lies. And what's really disturbing to me is that all these city officials who've allowed these laws, their codes to just be violated and not adhered to, they are the reason why this has escalated. Because if you didn't hand a private club or group rights to something that they don't have a right to, they don't have a right to chase out the public from a public forum such as a public park, none of this would be happening. So that's what's alerting, is city officials are so brazen. And the fact, I mean, what makes them feel or think that they can just disregard and ignore all the codes and laws and rules that are in place? And the only thing I can think of is that they think or know that someone's behind them getting their back, and no matter what they do, they're not going to be held accountable. So I don't know. You know, it's just disturbing. So workplace violence, when you literally only go to Roar Park 6 times a year for your events, you've only met this person that you're complaining about one time, and the one time all he said to you was,
"You're welcome."
That's it. After she approached us. Farley coming over here. Not going to make contact with her at all. At all. Gonna ignore her. There's my honey girl. So here's the facility. They are locking up the facility, which is very un-American. Yep. You know, they usually run in that arena over there, and that's the woman that's videotaping. We got a cam back there. Yep. That's nice. Okay, bye. So we're kind of being harassed by the local SSC people. Like, we just can't even come out here and not be harassed. Nice. Thanks, Richelle. So that's her complaint of harassment. And one other thing, and I'll show you what her motive is. and she's kind of shown her hand earlier. She has used the police. She's using the judicial system to further her little motive. So April 27th, I again mentioned the takeover of this public park facility, showing codes and all that, showing the map with the locked gates, showing an overhead of Sunnyside Saddle Club's Mount Miguel, where most of the club members go, and showing another same rules of Chula Vista, their municipal code. And here's Richelle Farley coming to my page, because she always comes to my page. I don't go to her page, but here she is coming to my page, and she writes here, she said regarding the decisions, they're part of the clubs, and that I should become a member of the club so I can discuss these decisions. If you want to have a say, become a member, yet I doubt you even qualify at this point due to slander and defamation of the club's character. I think you kind of slandered your own character by locking out the public. But she said, leave herself and other board members, who I've never even contacted another board member at all of Sunnyside Saddle Club, so I don't know what she's talking about, and the Sunnyside Saddle Club alone, or the club will have no choice but to file a report of harassment and consider a restraining order now. But 11 weeks ago, as she again came to my page, same thread, she goes, stop throwing my name out there, stop harassing me, as she comes to my thread and walks up to me in a public park, and the club, who I've never harassed the club, I've only mentioned her regarding the club. She said, I'm going to keep reporting you. So this is before she even made a report that I was cutting the locks, which I've never done, but she said she's going to keep reporting you, that's me, and show your true colors for the person you are to the public. You are not stable, and I'm at a point of wondering how far you are going to go before you become physically dangerous to someone or something where the authorities will need to haul you away. Then you're going to need to find someone to take care of your horses.
Allow animal control to come out and take the horse if you
So
don't want to cooperate.
So she already had in her mind that she was going to make reports and try to get people to come take me away, so someone else is going to have to take care of the horses. And that was the only interaction that I've ever had with her physically out on that park that you saw, and all the other ones is through her coming to my Facebook page. So I just think that's kind of interesting. So she wrote that comment on either May 9th or May 10th. So, and it was on July 2nd and the 4th of July, that the police were called because she stated to them that I was cutting her locks, even though she has video cameras that could have proven that I actually didn't cut her locks ever, but instead she calls and makes a false police report, which brings cops out to investigate and to kick me out of a public park for just exercising my First Amendment rights to use and enjoy a park peacefully. So when you start calling out people for their inappropriate behavior, especially if they are government officials that you're supposed to supposedly trust, and then you get slammed for harassment and all that, I just find that very interesting. But it's the government that's escalating the problems. They escalate because they don't follow their own laws and codes, which that's what laws and codes are for, is for our government to follow. So I think it was Andrea Cardenas who in 2021, she was caught with her brother, I guess, stealing property. Okay, so one more little thing to add here. This is a KPBS little article video, and this is John Mayor McCann. He is our mayor. So here's just a quick little city council, the October 17th meeting where they approved the facilities use agreement, the exclusive use. Mayor McCann approved that. There's your mayor, Deputy Mayor Criciato. That's him right there, next to Gardenias, who she also approved the exclusive use right there. And this was October 17th, as did the council member Chavez and deputy mayor, I just showed him, and council member Gonzalez. So they all agreed with their little Judy Tiber, the civic center, associate president. You should be able to trust your civic center to keep your public utilities, your public facilities open, but apparently that's not working. So here's Mayor McCann in a December meeting right here, and he's saying because criminal charges were filed against her, Gardenias. And here's John McCann saying, as they're all sitting along the table there, look at this, maintaining public trust is a critical element for all elected officials. And they show all the public where you're supposed to have trust is a critical element for all elected officials. All these people are sitting there that they've been duped. So you're being a little hypocritical there, John McCann, the Chula Vista mayor, when you're violating public trust by giving away public park amenities to private groups. Shame on you. See right there is Maria Cachadorian. She's the city manager. Tiffany Allen. Courtney Chase. I think Courtney Chase is now the new director of Parks and Rec now. Thanks, Richelle. Anyhow, okay, so Dragon's gonna keep eating. I gotta get some yard work done, and we'll talk to you later. Just letting you know what's going on. Carry on. Have a good day today.